Would it have been better if India's population would have been around 400 to 500 million? So go back to 1947. Undivided India's population was about 300 or 300, in the vicinity of 300 million. Undivided India included Pakistan and East and West Pakistan, right? I'm not counting Burma because Burma was partitioned in 1935 or thereabouts. But in 1947, the population of undivided India was about 300 million. That's the right kind of population for a nation the size of undivided India. So, divided India's population would have, the ideal population is around, let's say, 250 to 300 million. In the 1980s, which is not a whole lot of time ago, India's population was about 600 million, less than half of what it is today. Okay? So the population growth has been a disaster for India. But that doesn't mean that we should seek to have a one child policy and as fast as possible bring the population down. That will be a disaster which will end India. Now, the right solution is to gradually bring the population down over a period of 100 or 200 years. Okay? You'll have to do the math to understand why it is so. Because if you have a rapidly declining population, you're going to end up with a very old population. The median age will be in the 60s and 70s. Do you want a population where the average person is 60 years old? That's a disaster for the country. So, the ideal population for a country like India is around 300 million. But it doesn't mean that we do anything drastic. It's going to be a 100 or 200-year project to bring it down gradually to around 300 million. That's the optimum population. Imagine if you have only 300 million people in India. Today it's 1,400 million, right? 1.4 billion. Almost 5 times 300 million. If you had only 300 million people in India, imagine what the roads will look like, what the traffic will look like. There'll be no traffic jams. You have some cities in India like Mumbai, etc., where you have horribly congested trains. People get packed into trains. You won't have that. You won't have all those jams in airports. The whole country will look different. It'll be a much more pleasant country. We just overpopulated. But there's no immediate solution for that. We're going to have to be patient, really patient, and wait for a couple of centuries for the population to slowly come down to 300. But right now, the Indian TFR is dropping, total fertility rate. It's around 2. For a sustained population at the same level, you need a TFR of 2.1. In some states, it's 1.7, 1.6. Bad signs. We don't want population collapse in India. It'll be a disaster. We are already seeing that in China. We're already seeing that in Japan. We're seeing that in various Western nations, European nations. We don't want that here. But also the government will have to be extra vigilant and take the right steps. I'm not sure if they're doing or not doing it. But that's what I can say.